And welcome back. Well, I'm just going to select both these pieces of geometry now, pop up to Layers Manager. I'm going to create a new layer. Well, let's call this Propeller. Now I've got them both selected. Press return on that one, and if I go in, we can see that we have cylinder 2, line 1. Okay, whilst that's now our main layer, deselect that. I'm going to select line 1, pop into our modify panel, and I'm going to call this nose cone spinning. Why spinning? Well, it comes down to the animation section. A nose cone that's spinning, you don't really see the detail. Now I'm going to right click on it and we're going to say clone. Now it's come nose cone spinning. I'm going to take that section there and say static, and I want to copy and say OK on that. So now we can pop up to our Layers Manager, pop into the propeller. There we go, nose cone spinning, nose cone static. I want to hide the nose cone spinning. Now we can close that down. In fact, before we go any further, I'll just select that one, call this nose cone base, and press return. Let's deselect that. I want to pop into our create panel. We're going to create a cylinder. We'll just start this, say about that, push it back to give it some depth. Now popping over to our parameters, we'll ignore the radius and height for a moment. Height segments I want to leave at 1, cap segments that's fine with 2, and sides 32. Now 32 actually gives us a nice smooth radius, and also it allows us to subdivide this into either 2 halves or 4 quarters. Let's now right click and convert this to an editable poly. We're up in our modify panel. Let's pop in and we'll select vertices. Got my select object tool there, so I'm going to select all the vertices to the right of the center section. So we've not got those selected there, but we do have all those. Now I'm going to press delete. Up to border, I'm going to select one of those borders on the edge there. W for our select and move tool. Press shift and I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Whilst we're in border and that's selected, having deleted all those, there's no cap. If we go into perspective and zoom around, you can see there that there's no cap. So let's just pop down and we'll say cap. It's important that that is done because in a moment we are going to be performing some Boolean expressions. We just pop back into the left viewport, Z for zoom, pull out a little bit, up to editable poly root, and let's pull this across. Move in a little bit more. Now it is important that we have a little bit of a gap between the edge of the nose cone here and our piece of geometry here. E for our rotate tool. Make sure angle snaps on because we want to make our life a little bit easier, and we're going 90 degrees. OK for that. W for our select and move tool. going to bring this up now so that it's slightly down this section and coming out of the top there. Let's pop into our back viewport. Let's pull this down now. I actually want this centered over here, so let's just drag it across. We're going to use our green section of our gizmo just to line that up there, so let's zoom in a little bit more, and we're getting that into the middle of our nose cone. That's just about right there. Now into hierarchy, effect pivot only, and I'm going to bring this down to the center there. So if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that there is the center of that section, so I'll just nudge that a little bit more, and now we can switch off effect pivot only. Up to tools and down to array. Okay, I want a rotate, so let's go rotate. 0 for that one, and 360 for the Z. Why Z? Well, we can see here that that's the Y axis, the X axis, and I want it on the Z axis. Count, I want 3, and I'm going to go preview. That looks good, so let's say OK. And we had a bit of a screen freeze there, but I've backtracked a little bit. I want to put this into perspective mode, go zoom. Let's get a bit closer in now. I actually thought these looked a little bit too big, so what I did was select them, just have a look. Go for the scale tool, drag it in the center and just scale those down a little bit. Let's pop around. In fact, we'll go into the left viewport and go zoom. W for our select and move tool, and bring those back just a little bit more into perspective, and that's not looking too bad. Doesn't look disproportionate now. Okay, so next we can deselect them, and let's select our nose cone static there. We're in create, so down to compound objects. Let's go pro boolean. We want a subtraction. Our nose cone is selected, so let's start picking our pieces. Cylinder 4, cylinder 2, and cylinder 3. Have a quick look around. That doesn't look too bad at all. I'm quite pleased with that, and the proportions look correct as well. And now if we right click and let's say convert to an editable poly. Now let's pop into our left viewport, and was it selected? It was. Okay. Up to our create panel. Now we need our standard primitives. We're going to select cylinder again, and I'm just going to drag this out now and push back. 32, fine with that. Cap segments 2, yep, for the time being. Yeah, everything looks okay there, so right click and let's convert to an editable poly. Again, we'll go for E, which is our rotate tool. Let's rotate that around to 90 degrees. There we go. W for our select and move tool. I'm just going to bring this over. Now we may need to rescale it, but let's just get this in position. Into our back, let's bring that into the center, zoom in a little bit. Yep, that looks okay. Into perspective, zoom out, pop around. Yes, it needs rescaling, so R for our scale tool. Let's just rescale that a little bit. W for our select and move, and we'll push that back. Into our left viewport, Z to zoom. What I want to do now is just pop in for swift loop, put one there, let's put one there, and I can see that there. I want to come down, even though we can't see it, somewhere around about there. Right click to end that action. Into let's have a look, polygons. Yep. Make sure ignore back facing is switched off. What I want to do is select our select tool there, select those, and we know we've got some at the bottom, so press Control, let's select those. R for our scale tool, and let's just pull those in a little bit there. Say OK. Into perspective, let's have a look. Pull that round. Doesn't look too bad. W for our select and move. Push that down a little bit there. Deselect these, so that's Alt. There we go. Deselect those, and then pull these up to about there. That looks fine. Up to the root, into our back viewport. Let's have a look. Where are we? There we go. Into the back viewport. Again, we're going into hierarchy, effect pivot. Let's move this pivot down into the center, just there. Turn that off. Let's zoom out a little bit. Up to tools, array. Again, we want it on 360. We've got 3. Let's do a quick preview and say OK. Well, mindful of the time, we'll call that it for this session, and I'll catch you later.